This year, another man is recognized as one who epitomizes the Alpha way, living with no excuses. He was nominated and then selected by a committee to be honored for his attitude, his actions, and his many Alpha attributes. He's a married father of 2 girls. He works as a welder. He's a musician, a motorcycle enthusiast, an adventurer, a mechanic. He served in Afghanistan with the United States Air Force and has been a huge advocate for mental health care, especially for veterans and first responders. One of his projects this year included opening the Nevada chapter of Heroes on the Water, a nonprofit who gets veterans and first responders out on the water for fishing and boating adventures. He organized a classic car parade and car show for seniors in an assisted living facility. He was also very instrumental in many improvements made in the Alpha Quorum, a worldwide men's organization that now gives him this honor. Gentlemen, I present to you the 2022 Alpha Quorum Man of the Year, David Scofield.
If you're a man that controls his own destiny, a man that is always in the pursuit of being better, you are in the right place. You are responsible. You are strong. You are a leader. You are a force for good. Gentlemen, you are the Alpha, and this is the Alpha Quorum.
Welcome back to the Alpha Quorum Show. Brad Singletary here. It's been a little while. It's been a little while since I've been here, and I couldn't be more excited than I am tonight to be here with my friend who is the Alpha Quorum 2022 Man of the Year. This man was nominated and selected by a committee to represent what it is that we teach in the Alpha Quorum, which is responsibility, resourcefulness, reverence, energy, engagement, endurance, discipline, discernment, and distinction. And this is a guy that I've known for a while. And as I put together some of the stuff that I'm going to include later in the show, I'm just going to kind of drop it in. I had no idea what a badass this guy is until I heard from his wife, his parents, 2 sets of parents and step parents, and learned about some of the things that he's done over the past year. Some of those I knew about, but gosh, it's going to choke me up to think about some of these things that he's done. So, gentlemen, I just want to welcome David Scofield.
Thanks, Brad.
Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's surreal to be on the same list of some of my own mentors. I don't know. It's unreal to me.
Yeah, we just want to, I think something that's missing in the world is the recognition of dudes that are doing great things. So that's part of why this whole thing exists. That's why in June, we do a Father of the Year. At the end of the year, I always know when they're talking about the Heisman Trophy. So early December is when, that's when it's time to start putting this together for the Man of the Year. And you're exactly one of those kind of dudes. And I just have to say, while we were trying to set this appointment up tonight to record, Dave here just got back he was out of town for a while for the holidays, visiting family, drove hours and hours with his very young children.
Wonderful drive.
I'm sure. He mentioned on his Facebook he had to stop every 20 minutes. But then he had a buddy coming over that he's going to take care of one of his pets before he deploys overseas or something. And still he was here 5 minutes early. And I was kind of thinking, all right, I'm watching the clock thinking, I wouldn't be too mad if he canceled tonight. I could just go home and call it a night. But here he is, right on time, right on the money, just like everybody said, that you are reliable and that you'll do anything to help. And so part of this, man, is to honor you even further, to hear more about you. We've learned about you from your parents on this video that we'll kind of clip in here, but we want to hear some things from you yourself. So first of all, how old are you?
30. I turned 34 in February.
Okay.
I think.
So 34. So pretty young guy, married, 2 daughters who are, how old are they?
My daughters are almost 2 and just turned 4.
This guy, I can't remember what pictures we included in the video, but he is you're a very involved dad. So you're not one of these dudes who's just, paying the bills and kind of leaving it up to others. You're doing a lot of parenting. You're doing a lot of fun things with them. Probably my favorite picture of you is with Jade. I think she's up under your truck wrenching on something. Oh, yeah, she was helping you in the garage, all up in there, and you're kind of leading her through that. And of course, sometimes they may not be the best shop hands, but you're having a moment. You're teaching them little things, and that was pretty awesome to see. Talk about your role as a dad.
Well, my main goal with two daughters is to I want them to be able to change their boyfriend's, change their boyfriend's oil in his car when he doesn't know how to do it, because
that's likely.
It's the state of things right now. I don't know. It might be the case, but no, I think it's super important to be involved in my kids' life, to have fun with them and do fun stuff with them. I don't know, teach them.
Yeah, man. So you're in the silly, Halloween costumes. I swear I've seen you dress up like, one of them was a princess, or you were, you had these jeans, shorts, jorts, overalls, and kind of dressed up kind of similar to your daughter. I don't know, that looked like a big family barbecue or something, but you're just involved. You're engaged. That's one of our Red 9 principles is engagement, that you just participate with good vibes. You participate with good vibes. I mean, that's everything that I've seen and known about with you and your kids. That's what you're doing.
Right. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's definitely, it takes a lot of effort to do that. But it's so worth it. Just spending the time with kids and with my kids, and being able to have fun with them and teach them lessons through experience in life is, I think it's insanely valuable for them. But for me, it helps me a lot. I learn a lot from hanging out with my kids.
Yeah. They teach you about life. Maybe they teach you about just a fresh perspective, but they probably teach you about yourself too.
Teach me a lot about myself. I learned, I get to learn, how frustrated I can get at the pettiest shit sometimes. And they're a real vehicle for me to better myself when I can kind of spot that kind of stuff in myself, frustration, at little things, and being able to notice that in myself and kind of spread it throughout the rest of my life.
You talk about frustration. One of your buddies on there, I forget his name, but he said he's known you pretty much your whole life and he's never seen you in a bad mood. Is that true?
I don't know about that. Maybe when I'm around my friends, I'm not really in a bad mood.
That's when it's always a good time. Like you got a beer in your hand or something cool's going on.
Having some fun.
What about with your kids? I mean, they see you're frustrated, and if you ever do become, angry, irritated, or frustrated, what do you do after that?
Well, I think it's important to let them see me have emotion and then, correct it. I don't know how many times I've apologized to a 4-year-old for being frustrated. Hey, sorry, I was frustrated at this. I think it's important for them to learn that it's okay to be pissed off, to be frustrated, sad, and, all that kind of stuff. And through them seeing me frustrated, that doesn't give me an excuse to be frustrated. Right. But through them seeing that and then trying to fix it, I think they can learn that having those feelings is fine. And then they get to process them afterwards.
Oh, I love that so much, man. One of our common heroes and mentors is Taco Mike Spurgeon, and that's something that he taught me. Use whatever emotion you have, feel what you feel, and you got to keep yourself restrained to some degree, but it's okay to feel things exactly like you're saying. I believe the same thing. I've never been one to, take a fight with my wife. Like, we can only do this in the bedroom. They can never hear us argue. I want them to see us have some issue. There's some flare-ups here and there. And I want to see us hug at the end, that like you can feel what you feel. And it doesn't have to be destructive, and you can take responsibility for it and be accountable and apologize if necessary. That I think that's very healthy versus a lot of men stone cold, stay away from emotion, or they've bottled it up for so long that they really do have, explosive situations. And then it's almost, they've never seen you get angry until you really lost it. So some regular feelings, that's human, that's normal.
Yeah.
So there were some exciting things in there just with your like hobbies. You're a fisherman.
Love it.
How'd you get started with that? Because I see you're teaching your girls even, they were out there fishing with you.
My dad, my biological dad, he's been into it forever. So my first memories of fishing were, with him going out. We would go to like trout ponds, where they stocked a ton of trout and you like pay per trout that you catch. Like it's not really fishing. It was just, let's go catch some fish. Doing that and then going out on barges and doing deep sea stuff with him. It really fizzled out a lot, through life, but it's something that I've come back to, and it's a thing that I can really find, some peace in, I can recenter myself after just kind of living in this crazy ass world and going through the meat grinder every day.
Yeah. It seems like some of the value of that stuff is not just if you catch fish or not, but it's the opportunity to get away, get out in nature. There's some solitude, maybe. I don't know if you're most of the time by yourself or, you're off by yourself. Even if you're with someone, you have some quiet, you're just kind of connecting with the earth. And I mean, it seems like some of the coolest parts of that. I grew up, we were commercial fishermen. We had a crabbing business down in Florida. So we fished a lot of different kinds of things, but I've lost the appreciation for that, I think, because it was work. It was how our family fed ourselves and stuff. And this seems like you've gone back to some of your roots with that as a way to find enjoyment.
Right. Yeah. It lets me, it really provides something for me to slow my mind down, and focus on something else. Other than all the things, we just have so many stressors and all kinds of shit you got to worry about. That's a bunch of stuff that's in the future. And it's something that keeps me in the now and lets me focus on exactly what I'm doing, kind of hang out. Some fishing is more intense than others. Some stuff's pretty, like tournament fishing gets pretty wild and you're really focused in on the day. And then you've got some days you just kind of bait and wait and sit down and drink a couple drinks, whatever those may be, and hang out. And they're both just as valuable.
What's been your most meaningful like fishing experience? Was it a tournament, something with your dad? I mean, you probably have so many, but talk about some that were just super cool for you.
Yeah. Anytime I've gone out with my dad has been real cool. There's one fairly recently, maybe a year or two ago. We went out and we did some deep sea fishing. We did a 24-hour trip. It was a one day, and we went out Newport, went out to San Clemente Island to try to go get some bluefin, some yellowtail, stuff like that. And I was able to, so it was me, my dad, my father-in-law, and one of my brother-in-laws through marriage. But it was real cool because we got to hang out with each other and be around each other. And most of us, my dad, I think in that video, he said, "I'll let you catch the biggest fish next time." He caught a fish that time, and the rest of us did not. So I don't know. I think it's cool that we were able to go, we were able to hang out, and we we failed together for the most part, like it was kind of a bust as far as catching goes, but it was a good time to be around each other, road trip with my father-in-law and a brother of mine, and go hang out with dad. And I don't know.
We talk so much about adventure and the need for men to just get out, have some kind of all day or multi-day adventure. It sounds like that was exactly one of those kinds of things for you. What other cool adventures have you been on in your life, man? These pictures and the pictures in the video are just show a lot of fun stuff you've done, man.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for the kind of adrenaline coursing through my veins. It doesn't really present itself like that while you're in it most of the time. I think it's just I really like that focus that you get that zones everything in your life out, and you just can focus on exactly what you're doing. And I've found that through several things. Yeah. You got some pictures up of highlining. That was a big part of my life for a few years.
Describe what that is. I know just from looking at the pictures, but for these guys in the audience not knowing what highlining is. Basically the easiest way to explain it would be it's almost like a tightrope between cliffs. You go up there, hike up, climb, do whatever, get to two ends of a canyon, and rig up a bunch of ropes and webbing and walk back and forth. Oh, that's crazy. So this line is how wide is the line?
Usually it's 1 inch thick when you're doing, or 1 inch wide. Yeah.
1 inch. So that's like the size of a ruler.
Right.
The thickness of a.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. Yeah, I had a lot of crazy adventures doing that.
You have like a harness, or
right.
There's a little something around your foot, or how do you know you're not going to plummet to your death at the bottom?
Like mentally, that's most likely not going to happen. You have a harness. You're wearing like a climbing harness and a rope that goes from your climbing harness to like a ring that goes around the webbing that you're walking on. Mm-hmm. Normally trails behind you, and if you fall, it's a scary moment, but it's pretty exhilarating. It's fun.
No way, dude. That's the stuff nightmares are made.
Yeah, no, it's good. I don't know.
So you stopped that? Well, how come? What, are you still doing it, or when did you hang that up?
I stopped doing that. It's been a few years since I've been on a highline. That was, I don't know. I'm kind of a hobby hopper. I got into it. I hit like a climax, like a high point in learning, where I'm learning fast, like just exponential growth. And then you hit a point where it's, or I would hit a point where something gets a lot more difficult to progress. And then that's when I find like, okay, well, maybe there's something else I can progress in a lot. I like to learn a lot about things. So when I get to a point where I know, obviously I don't know everything about it, but I get to a point where something becomes just exponentially harder, just way more difficult. I get more joy out of learning something new.
Yeah, so you kind of master the basics or the intermediate level stuff, and then you're on to the next hobby.
Right.
Hop on the next kind of fun thing to do, and you've had a number of those. So your work, talk about your work. Like you're a welder.
Right.
And how did you get into that stuff? I think that's fascinating. We were talking earlier about my son. My oldest son is kind of pursuing that in school right now and just loves it. It's just so manly. I mean, maybe there are women welders too, of course, but you're putting pieces of steel together, and steel or iron.
Steel.
Steel.
Yeah. So I got into welding. I was working over at Circus. I was in the Adventure Dome working on maintaining the rides. So climbing roller coasters and, just working on the rides, doing preventative maintenance stuff, doing teardowns and rebuilds and all that kind of stuff. And I just liked the idea of, there was guys there that were welding. And I liked the idea of getting up on a track or welding, I just liked what they were doing. And it was something that I could learn. It's back to that, learning process. I like to learn new stuff. So that's where it started. It started there and I had a lot of help there, a lot of guys that really knew what they were doing. And, I would spend time before or after work and just weld. And I was lucky enough to have the guys there to, give me some pointers here and there and kind of teach me. Did some welding there and then found a job. Got lucky finding a real good job for it.
Do you think this is your, career home? Is this, really solid and stable? Do you enjoy it enough that you think you will continue this throughout your life, or are you going to get on a new hobby? What did you call it? Hobby hopping? Yeah. Get on a new type of career-wise hop too. No,
so I've battled for a long time. Like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Or, choosing a career for me was always a very difficult thing. And when I finally found welding, I was late 20s. I was maybe 30 years old when I started welding. No, I was late 20s. Anyways, that kind of drew me into what would be okay for a career. I feel like most things, there's kind of this pipe dream, I think, that a lot of people have, including myself, that you find something and you just dedicate yourself to it and it's going to work out and it can be your career. And that works out for some people, but for the majority of us, we got to find something, I enjoy welding. I like welding. But if I won the lottery, I'm not going to go to work tomorrow. You're not married to welding forever. Right. But I found my place in it. It's something that I do enjoy doing. I don't hate going to work, I enjoy it a lot of the time. And, honestly, it comes down to it takes care of the family. It takes care of, it's got us our house. It's got us cool stuff for the kids. And it provides in that way. And really the way I look at it is it's what I do in the mornings. I work from 6 to 2, Monday to Friday. And, that's what I do in the mornings. The rest of my life is more so that's the real work. That's the real world. That's the real stuff. That's how I feel, man. Work is just what I do to get away from my real job, which is being at home and being a dad. And this is kind of my fun. Work is fun for me. So I'm curious about your spirituality, because when I look at this video, when I hear the things that people say about you, it just seems like you have, you're just walking around helping people and spending every opportunity that you can to bring love and, bring light to people's life, to bring some kind of, assistance or help. Something that we didn't get in the video. There was a guy that Sco and I both knew who was a retiree. He basically lives alone, divorced and lives alone, kind of retirement age, and is often maybe down. And Scofield here invited him fishing, and he just picked this old guy up and they went out and fished. And I don't know whether or not you caught any fish, but man, that kind of thing, that's something that this dude still talks about as a very meaningful
experienced in like his whole life. So anyway, spirituality, because I think that's obviously very different from religion. Some people use religion for spirituality, but what is your sense of like the inner world of like purpose, or I'll just let you take it from there. How do you see spirituality?
Spirituality. So for me, this is something that I've learned a lot this year specifically. I've always, so I grew up in religion, and, there were definitely parts of it that made sense to me. Being kind to people, being cool with other people, helping each other out, that kind of stuff. Then it gets into weird rules and some crazy stuff that just didn't make sense to me. And that's where religion loses me. But I kept that, I try to keep that base of just kindness and love with, in day-to-day life. And sometimes it doesn't show up every single day. Right. But I try to make it, or I try to have it show up, on a fairly regular basis. Let's see. So one of the big things I learned this year, it was actually kind of a crazy thing. So I came to the group Facebook page, and I brought up a trouble that I've had for a long time with self, like, how do you love yourself? And went into this thing about it. And, I have trouble like loving myself. I always see all the things that I could be doing better. You see, I really, all those things stick out to me. It doesn't matter what I've done or how good I've done. You could always do better, always, forever.
Right.
So those were kind of my focuses, and I have, I don't know. I had a lot of really bad kind of self-talk about stuff like that, and just needing to do better, wanting to do better. And anyways, I brought that to the group on Facebook, and somebody mentioned a book, and they stated that the author was Eckhart Tolle, but looking for the book under Eckhart Tolle didn't come up. He accidentally put Eckhart Tolle. Long story short, I got into a kind of a rabbit hole of Eckhart Tolle, and through listening, so Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual leader. He's a spiritual teacher. He's really, really cool. He takes things from a bunch of different religions and brings them all together. He calls a lot of it signposting, like religions are signposting. They're all kind of pointing in the same direction, but teaching it a little bit different and whatnot. So he uses a lot of the teachings from like Christ or Buddha or what have you. But the big thing, spirituality wise, that has all kind of come full circle and has really hit home for me this year in particular, is that we are, he uses the word human being as two words. We have our human side and we have our being. And our human side is our that's the side that's programmed. That's, from birth till this very moment, you're learning, you're almost like a computer learning through your life experience. And the being is when you can separate that And if you can sit and you can shut that off and just be, if you could just sit and experience everything that's around you, kind of without sense, like without touching or smelling, you just experience the world around you and appreciate it. That's being, and obviously this spiritual teacher does a lot better job talking about that than me. But in that being, that being is in everything. That's in all of life. So with that said, so I have that, you have that, our kids have that, I don't know, all that, everybody in the world that's driving us all crazy, or, like whatever it is, they all have that same being. So really the way I see it is what I've learned is that we're all the same, right? We're all the same thing, just kind of programmed differently. Mm-hmm. And, I guess that's a big thing that I've come to learn about my spirituality, that kindness and grace and love, can be extended to everyone and everything, because we're all the same.
How's that different from what you thought before, or how was that it makes me want to, I've seen and read some of his stuff, but I want to go learn more. I love what I have learned from him and watched some videos, except he talks so slow. I have to turn it on like 1.5 or 2x, but, how is that different? What was novel or new about that philosophy about being and how we're all the same, kind of similar beings?
I guess in my past, it's been separate. It's been separated. Like we
separated, like based on your accomplishments, or whether or not you were keeping the rules, or the worth of your being was dictated on some other thing, or
right. And yeah, in a lot of religion, there's like, are you worthy? Or, worthy right. Worthy of what? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I don't. It's that kind of stuff separated everybody, and then a lot of religions too. I've learned about a lot of them, and in most cases, it's like, well, this is the right religion, or the true religion, or this is the right God, or, all this other stuff is nonsense. And
right.
That's not really the case. That's all, to me, all of those things exist because we believe they exist. We think somebody thinks they exist, therefore they do, because it's not a tangible thing, but if a mass number of people are thinking of it or believe in it, or then it's there, you can't deny that. Mm-hmm. So it's there for them. That's very real.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You're saying that you learned a lot of this year, but you went seeking it. So you first had a question. So I love a whole lot about what you're saying. You kind of had some questions about, what was it you were asking about in the Facebook group?
It was self-love.
Okay. How do I learn to love myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody turned you on to a book.
Totally by accident. Yeah. It was a different book by a different author. And
you found it through the search of the wrong thing.
I found Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's the author that he put.
Okay. And so here's what I love about that. You have a question. So you're wondering about being a better man. You're wondering about how to love and appreciate yourself more, respect yourself more, whatever that was. and then you ask for some help. So resourcefulness is part of that's part of, you talk about, you always love to learn. You always want to be growing. You always want to learn new things. So then you ask other people. This Facebook group is, 15 or 1,600 men from all over the world. And so you just throw it out there. Hey, how do I learn to love myself more? Something along those lines?
Pretty much. It was more drawn out than that. And I'm a lot better at writing something out. I can articulate what I'm trying to say better. But yeah, it was basically along those lines.
You threw it out there, but you're seeking like the wisdom that other men might share. Some probably had all kinds of different ideas and thoughts, but that itself is badass that you're asking for insight. Give me some wisdom, lead me to something of some understanding. You found this other stuff by accident. You said devouring it, or you spent a lot of time learning about his teachings.
Right.
And that's changed you. And then how has that changed you since then? So I want to talk about some of the projects and things that you've done this year, but how does that make you see things differently just walking around in the world on a day-to-day basis?
I appreciate and I truly love it's hard to say, but it's true. I love everything, that's going on. I appreciate, people, experiences, time that people put into stuff. Just, there's so much that goes into every single little thing that's like in your life. Of every moment of your day, there's so much shit that goes into that, just aligns for that moment to happen. And I try, it's helped me try to appreciate every moment that I can. It's helped me a lot with judgment of other people. I've always tried, no, maybe not always. I've tried to better myself, with judgment of others and of myself. But, when I can look at everybody we're as the same thing, we're the same root thing. I can truly believe that they're just doing their best. Could they do better? Hell yeah.
So on the human part of that thing, you're saying the human thing is like, you're tall and thin and I'm short and chubby, but our being is the same. So we have these distinct differences in our human side, but the being that this, whatever exists in us is the same thing. And maybe that's a spiritual part or whatever, but
definitely. And the human side isn't just physical. It's our thoughts. It's our thoughts and it's our actions. It's the things that we do. It's how we get through life. Like, you're a therapist, a lot of people have coping mechanisms that have started when, they were young, and they don't even know that they exist until they sit down with someone like you and kind of break things apart and learn, oh, I do this because of that, or I think this way because of this experience or this number of experiences in my life. That's our human side. So the human part is whatever is unique to us individually. The being side is what's not unique. That's we all have this commonality. Yeah. It's consciousness is what, Eckhart would describe it as. It's this consciousness that everything has, just this existence. Yeah, that's great stuff. I love one of his quotes, something about whatever the universe brings to you at any given time is exactly what is necessary for the evolution of your consciousness. Like whatever bullshit you run into, it's good. Yeah. You need that. This is something meaningful for you. Take it and use it. And of course, he's much more like poetic about it all, but I love that stuff, man. So you were talking about grace a little bit. What are you talking about talk about the concept of like grace and where were you going with that? So like I'll look at my kids when they're doing something wrong, or, you know, they're upsetting me. And I don't think less of them because they did something that you would expect a 4-year-old to do, you know, or a 2-year-old to do. Like, of course, a 2-year-old is going to throw a tantrum at some point, and, you know, a 4-year-old is going to push her sister and take a toy, or, you know, I don't think less of them. You know, you handle a situation and you help them learn through it and whatnot. But that to me is having some grace for them. Like, I'm not going to think less of you because you screw up. And that extends to everybody. And then the hardest thing for me was extending that to myself. It's easier
extending grace to yourself.
Yeah. So having, you know, just knowing that it's all right to do dumb shit. You know, I can screw up and learn from it and keep going. Like what you were just saying about Eckhart's quote. What did you say again? Something
like, you know, whatever the universe brings to you is exactly what your consciousness needs to evolve, or something like that.
Right. So yeah, so all the dumb stuff, all the great things and all the bad things and wonderful things and horrible things, and then everything in between is all helping us in some way if you let it.
It's all beneficial, as painful as it might be.
Right.
There's some good in it, and let it help you.
Right.
Wow. So yeah, man, you're talking about, you know, grace for the 4-year-old. She pushes her sister and whatever. And then to other people outside of your family, maybe, but then even to yourself. It seems like we spend so much of our thought, so much of our time thinking, we spend so much of it in judgment. And that's not very useful. I mean, so one of the Red 9 principles is discernment, which means to be fair in your judgments. You know, read between the lines and see what's going on and try to notice what's reality. But that also might mean some greater depth to the person's worth as the person's like, and when you're talking about this being, earlier you were talking about in the religion, you know, the idea of worthiness. You're saying there's just this infinite worthiness. Everybody's worthy. The being, it can't be changed. There's no need to prove yourself.
Right. It's just there. We all have it. And it's mind blowing that, I mean, if you really think about it, it's just mind blowing that we even exist. Like what a crazy thing that is, and how grateful can you be that you literally are just here. That I'm here right now is insane, but anywhere in the day, you know, just that I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've heard somewhere, I forget who quoted this, but you know, it's like a 1 in 4 trillion chance that you came to be, that you and I came to exist. 1 in 4 trillion. So there's some meaningfulness to it all. And so one of those principles in the Red 9, we talk about reverence, and that is, you know, it's often used in like, you know, in the religious world or whatever. I think some pastors, even their title is like reverend, and it comes from the same word. But the idea is just that there's some humility, you got some gratitude, you know, you kind of see things as connected. You see life, you treat life with some respect. That's what you have a very strong sense of like reverence. You know, I've seen your pictures of you out here on the strip or whatever in that banana suit. I saw you zip lining naked. I'm pretty sure I tried to get that in the video, but it was too, your skin blended in with the desert background. We couldn't see it, but that was straight up chode up in the air. Coming out between the harness, you know, ball sack everywhere. Oh, but you do, man. You got this great sense of like just kindness, respect, humility, gratitude. That's pretty awesome. So you went seeking that. You found some things that were helpful in your own understanding that. But you know what, man, before all that, because some of your lifelong friends here in this video said they've known you since high school, and you've just been a helpful dude all the way. I mean, all the way through life. Neighbors move in, and you're just showing up, offering to help with stuff. You know, here's some tools. Here, what do you need? Let me help you out. Dave's done things to help me. I mean, and so this isn't just this year that you've been that guy. You've kind of been, you've been shaping that part of you for a long time. And maybe some of that is just some inherent gifts that you have, I believe. But talk about just how you handle the people in your life, you know, the neighbor, the coworker, the friend, the family member, because surely people piss you off, but you're giving a whole lot of good out there. You're doing a lot of good.
Thanks. Yeah, I try. I think it was back when I think you had Justin Mackey on here, and he spoke about relationships. Mm-hmm. And that's what that is. To me, relationships are uber important in life in general. And every relationship that I can have and help grow is makes me better off, and hopefully I can make them better off as well. So that's what that is. That's why I'll help whoever I can, and I think helping people. I truly enjoy helping people and doing stuff for others, but it really does come back, you know, tenfold. The more you do for other people, you feel it, right? It feels good. But then somewhere down the road, something pops up and you need some help, or, you know, someone offers you something, or I don't know. I think relationships are super important in life, because I mean, it's kind of the idea behind the Alpha Quorum, right? Is we need tribe. Mm-hmm. And the society that we live in now doesn't really force us to create that tribe like it would have, you know, whatever, 1,000 years ago. But through trying to make these, trying to create and feed relationships, it creates your own kind of tribe. You know that those people can count on you, and a lot of the times you can count on those people.
I can just tell that that's not your primary motivation. Otherwise, you know, that's maybe manipulation, or that's a transactional relationship. You're not doing that. You know, the guy your dad was talking about, where you're going to dinner and somebody's broke down and you whip around, make a U-turn, and, you know, you're helping this guy. You're supposed to be somewhere for a family dinner, and you're helping some guy on the side of the road. That's not, you're probably not going to run into him again. You're not out there gathering credits for your future. And I don't know how I know that. I just feel it, and I know that that's not what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess maybe I was kind of maybe I'm wording that wrong or something. It is about. I really do think relationships are important, but I don't have to receive from a relationship. And situations like that, it's just, I don't know. It feels right to go help somebody. Like, some dude is stuck in the middle of the street. Poor guy was driving an old Dodge, you know, so I had
bless them all. They all need help.
I had to get out and help him push his Dodge and mention that if it was a Chevy, it'd be where he wanted to go. But, yeah, I don't know.
Only worst case scenario would be a Ford, but we'll keep that out. We'll keep it serious in our talk here. But yeah, man. So like you're talking about you've learned some language recently that says kind of we're all the same, but you've been living that way. You've seen that's what you would want to do. Somebody, if you were stuck somewhere, if you were broken down, you would want that. And so maybe part of it is, well, why not help this guy? Maybe it won't take too much of my time. Did you ever make it to the dinner?
Yeah, definitely.
Without too much, grease on your hands or whatever.
No, I was pretty gassed though. That was a big fat girl of a truck. So,
So you mentioned the interview with Justin Mackey, and I don't know if he used this word in the podcast that he did a couple of episodes with us, or if it was in conversation outside of that. But he talked about, I'd never heard this word before, but husbandry. It's like the art of, being a husbandry. Anyway, I think it's a great word. I guess it's a real word. Probably he's smarter than me. So talk about husbandry, your role as a husband, and how you some of the principles that you're trying to live by, how that stuff shows up in your marriage. And I know your wife, I know Bree, and she seems like just a sweetheart. But I know when you're dealing with human beings, when you're dealing with feelings, when you're dealing with a long-term relationship, things probably creep in, and we're all human.
Right, man. To be a husband, to be in a marriage, I feel like I kind of grew up thinking that it's one thing and actually having no idea what the hell it actually was.
We all got duped.
we just didn't know. In fantasy land, yeah. You don't know until you do it. And the biggest thing with trying to be a good husband currently and be better as I go is, again, I'm constantly, I think it's important to try to learn. There's always room to grow. Right. And, I don't know. I really try to be there for her. I try to support her in a lot of things. But I learn a lot from her. She's the first person in my life that has ever, like, any wild ass idea that I have or stupid thing that I want to do or whatever, she just supports it. She's like, yeah, go ahead. And that is huge. And so I think that part of being a good husband is also, there's been a lot of guys that have talked on this podcast about that kind of stuff. But for me, a huge thing is learning from your spouse, not just learning like, what do they need in your relationship or how can you help them and do all this stuff, but learning from them, like using them as an example to also be better. Mm-hmm. And I try my best, to do that with my wife.
Yeah, I think this was some research out of Australia. I'm not sure who has this. Maybe it's the Gottmans. I'm not sure, but somebody out there, somebody famous is talking about the fact that the happiest relationships are literally where the man is, where the husband is, he allows himself to be influenced by his spouse. So the worst relationships are where the man does not have any, he won't allow himself to learn from her. And you're saying you're allowing yourself to learn. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot going on in life, and you're allowing her to influence you. So she's supportive, but she's also teaching you. And
right. And I think that balance is important because she is very supportive. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm not just like, being taken advantage of. Although honestly, today, before I came over here, I told her, you know what? I don't really enjoy or like the fact that I am as trained as I am, because she, my 2-year-old went over and dumped dumped the dog water all over the floor. And my wife and I are both sitting on the couch and she saw it happen, and I was kind of staring off into my phone. And she saw it happen, and she said something along the lines of, did Ayla just dump the dog water? And I looked up and I see the dog water spilled on the floor, and like without anything, just like stood up and grabbed a towel and to go clean the shit up. And I don't know, but she does the same thing too. So that is, I've learned from her, but I don't know, maybe I've been programmed by her too.
Man, there was a moment, and maybe it's because I'm looking at this when I was doing this video, right at the very end, when she said, there is no one more deserving of this award, and I'm very proud of her. Now, I don't know her that well, but I think I know people well enough, and I've got this on my earphones. I'm playing the same clips, 40 times each to get it all right. And I just hear this little bit of emotion. I hear this little bit of just excitement that she is truly proud of you, man. Like it was this giddy. She was trying not to look too excited, but she was saying, there's no one more deserving of this, and I'm very proud of him. And I don't know. I believed her. I believe that was a deep appreciation for you when she said that. Maybe others didn't catch that, but do you think she's proud of you?
Absolutely. I do. Yeah, I think we're both proud of each other. We're both growing and learning, and it's, you can't help but feel proud of your spouse when you're paying attention to their growth. I think how they're doing.
Wow, that's cool. You can't help but to be proud of your spouse if you're paying attention to their growth. That may be the problem with a lot of men, is that they're not paying attention. They're not looking, and men and women too. But if you're paying attention, you're probably going to be proud.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. I just see you guys doing like music festivals, and, I know you both have great careers, but maybe you're not like infinitely loaded with cash or whatever, but you make things a priority. You're doing trips, you're traveling, you're taking little weekend getaways, you're going to concerts, and you seem like you're just living life together and making it work. I mean, it just seems like you're kind of living the American dream.
Making it work. Yeah, that's definitely, that's it right there. I don't know. Yeah, we're doing our best for sure.
There was a couple other things I wanted to mention. So you did two huge things this year. Talk about Heroes on the Water, because we talked about the mental health and we'll talk about the whole program and your involvement with it and why you did it.
Heroes on the Water is I'm super excited about and blessed to be able to be a part of here in Vegas. So Heroes on the Water is a organization. It's a nonprofit organization that's all over the U.S. And we were able to get a chapter started here in Las Vegas. And what we do is provide like a day of fishing. We take people out. We've got kayaks. Mm-hmm. We got kayaks, trailer, fishing gear, a bunch of cool stuff. And we take veterans, active duty, and first responders and their family, and we organize little events and get everybody out on the water to go fishing. Just to, it's the slogan for Heroes on the Water is paddle, fish, heal.
Paddle, fish, heal. That's awesome.
And it's something that I've found in my life that helps me out a lot. And I know it's helped a ton of other people out, and just, I don't know, like what we were talking about before, kind of connecting with nature and getting your mind focused on something else, and a million other reasons that it's good. But yeah, we've got some good plans for it this year. We didn't do a ton with it last year. I think we got our 3 outings done last year. Mm-hmm. One of them, I was able to get a group of firefighters from here in Vegas. We actually went out to, I forget, I think it was Gunlock Reservoir out in Utah, and did some fishing out there. The guys had a blast. Most of them hadn't really fished, and I don't know, they loved it. They had a good time. And that's really what it's about, getting people out to go get away from, especially jobs like that are pretty mentally taxing. Trying to serve the guys, the men and women that serve us. So,
yeah. So what was your involvement with that? I mean, this is a nonprofit that exists out there with chapters all over and whatever. It didn't exist in Nevada, right? Until you got involved in how did you do your part of that?
So I guess it did kind of exist in Nevada, but the last director wasn't, I don't know. I don't know the full story of it. Nobody knew about it, and they weren't doing any events or anything. So the guy probably got busy with life and whatnot. But I heard that they wanted to start a chapter here, and I reached out to a bunch of people and finally got a hold of someone that was in charge of getting chapters off the ground. And so we started a chapter out here. I don't know.
It's just remarkable, man. People don't do that. I mean, people like that. That's the kind of thing that this guy is, I think you've got some opposite work schedules with your wife. You're spending a lot of time with your two very young daughters. You've got your own full-time work. You've got your own hobbies. You've got all these friends you're taking care of, even strangers on the side of the road. And then it's like, hey, let me start a nonprofit here in Nevada for veterans and first responders, take them out fishing, paddle, fish, heel. Good grief, man. That's the most impressive thing ever. So this is all about kind of mental health and healing from traumatic experiences. I mean, that's part of their like mission statement or something about.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. It also recognizes that the families deal with that too. Like, people, men and women coming back from deployments and stuff, they're, a lot of times you're different when you get home. First responders, they see the wildest stuff, they deal with some crazy stuff, and, then they got to go home to their families, and, it's hard for them, but, there's probably some distancing and stuff with family and whatnot. So it lets their family come out as well, and lets the families connect and do something fun together, and just kind of provides the vehicle for them to do that.
So you are a veteran yourself.
Yeah.
I had the hardest time getting information about that, but I'm curious. So you served in the Air Force.
Yep.
And you went overseas.
Yeah, I did. I did a year in Korea, and then let's see. I was in Phoenix, and then I went to Korea for a year. And then I was at Moody Air Force Base in Georgia, where I had the chance to deploy with the combat search and rescue guys. I'm not half as badass as any of those guys, but I got to go with them in support of them. I deployed to Afghanistan and had some wild experiences out there. And
what year was that? Like, where was that in terms of the whole war and everything? What year was that?
I was in Afghanistan in 2011.
Wow. So you were just young. If you're 34 now, that was like 12 years ago. You were pretty young guy at that point.
Yeah. I think I was 21, 22 maybe. 23.
Would you recommend the military? I mean, if a young man is interested, and would you, you can't see this cause we're not filming it, but, his eyes just got really big and.
Oh man. I think it's, what you need to understand about the military is that it's not a job. This is, the military is a life. And, that's a hard thing for a lot of people. That was hard for me.
You've got responsibilities even when you're not like on the job. It's all day and night for years of your life.
Yeah. And they move you wherever they want. And you know, you're a tool for the government. So it's, if you understand that and you want to go do it and you want to, you know, go fight for freedom or, you know, whatever, what have you. A lot of guys I remember just joined so that they could get the benefits, you know, and that's another thing. Sure. I would only recommend the military to certain kinds of people. And if I do recommend the military to anybody, I definitely recommend the Air Force. Just being in it. I know everybody talks shit about the Air Force because you call Air Force the chair force. And, but the reality was that being in the Air Force, you are treated better than the Army guys were treated or the Marines were treated. And, as far as military goes, like being in the Air Force, you've got it pretty cush. And so if you want to go do it smart and join the military, then you want to join the Air Force, if anything, I think, unless you want to, I don't know. That totally depends on somebody's wants, you know, what do they want to go after? If somebody wants to go be an infantryman, then, you know, you're going to fucking go through it. But if that's what you want to do, send it. I don't know.
I saw you on one of the pictures there. You're like laying on top of this huge like bomb or something. I was just like, I bet that wasn't authorized.
Yeah. That was when planking was. That's
when that was all part.
Planking on stuff. Yeah. So I just laid on it was a big practice bomb.
So military veteran, you care about, you know, the mental health of first responders and veterans. You were instrumental in creating this Heroes on the Water. You also did something this year that was super cool. And I want to know how this came about, this car show. So this was like an assisted living facility or something. And you arranged like this car parade. And there's one of the pictures in there where there's all these guys in wheelchairs. You know, these guys look like they're, you know, 80, 90 years old or something. And they're sort of waving at the Chevelles and the Mustangs driving by or whatever they were. And how did that come to be?
That was super cool. I'm glad I got to do that. And we actually are doing a men's group at that assisted living home.
Are you freaking serious?
Yeah.
What?
So we'll do we're doing a monthly men's group there. So that the guys, so that came about because, going to sound kind of silly, but I was listening to a podcast and it was Gary V. I was listening to a Gary V podcast and he mentioned, go volunteer at a retirement home or assisted living home or something along those lines. Go volunteer there and experience people that are very aware that they're at the end of their life. That's the harsh reality of it. You know, they know that, right? We all know that. Go experience people that are at that state in life and you can gain a lot from that. You learn lessons from those people and cause they just have so much more experience in life than we do, or than I do right now. You know, I've got my 30 years compared to their 85, 90. So that's why I seeked it out. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll go. Why not? I got a hold of a place as assisted living. So there's differences, right, between retirement homes and assisted living homes. And then there's other stuff too that are a lot more intense. So assisted living homes are for people that cannot get through their day without some sort of help. And then you have more intense stuff where like everybody's got dementia and stuff like that.
Nursing home is way more severe cases, but
right. So this is kind of a in between.
It looked like an apartment kind of almost or something.
Yeah, they've got like dorms and whatnot. But so in going there, talking to their director, their activities director, I was talking to her, and this was right before Father's Day or something. It was the month before Father's Day. And she asked me if I had any ideas. She's like, look, I like to do activities and whatnot. And this is my job. This is what I do, but it's hard for me to think about stuff for the guys, for the men. Like, do you have any ideas for these guys? And that's how it all kind of came to be. I went down there to go talk about times that I could call bingo numbers. And it turned into, okay, yeah, let me think of some cool ideas and
like activities
that were more focused on the men in the home. Because so through that and talking to some of the people that are there, some of the men that are there, you learn that these guys have done, like, an 80-year-old, 85-year-old man was around in World War II. And like, I'm talking to guys in this home that there's this one guy that will just forever be in my head. Just happy as hell, like real cool dude. And real energetic. And he was a dive bomber in World War II. This man was just dive bombing Nazi ships. And like, the guys here have done really badass stuff. They've all done really cool, like they've had a lot of cool life experience. And they've, now they're in this assisted living home where, like, they can go to a Walmart and like peruse around Walmart once a week. And they have like bingo nights and paint nights and stuff like this. And, so when she asked me about ideas for men, that got me thinking about, well, what would be, what's something I want to do? Cause they're no different, right?
Right.
They've
We're
done
all the
cooler
same
shit than I have. Like, let's think of something cool for them to experience, to do. So that's the car show thing came up through that. Yeah, I don't know, just brought it up to her, and I actually brought it up to the Alpha Quorum group. Mm-hmm. A bunch of the guys in the group came up with some other ideas that we're gonna, that we'll do for the men's group. But that was a real cool thing to put together, and I guess resourcefulness and relationships really came into play with that, because I just reached out to anybody I knew that, because I've never put on a car show. I don't know. Like, I'm not even a huge car guy. Like, I love cars, trucks, all that stuff. But if I don't know, some classic car drives in front of me, I could name like 4 or 5, but I probably won't know the year, so just reaching out to people and got that, and it was a bunch of people wanting to volunteer their time to go hang out in a parking lot, because that's really all a car show is. It's just like, let's all get our cars together and talk. And what better thing for a assisted living home to go see all these cars that grandma probably did some wild stuff with grandpa in the back of one of those cars. Like, let's bring some fun memories back to these things.
These were the hot rods when they were young and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so awesome. So how many cars did you end up having there? Do you remember how many?
Oh, I don't even know. Probably somewhere around 20, 30 cars.
Dude, that is so cool. So see that as you're talking, I'm remembering something that Taco Mike said. I forget what episode, but he basically said, if you're not leading out and doing something awesome, you're missing out. You're missing out on opportunity. You're missing out on like blessing other people's lives. And here you're arranging and helping this thing come together, because you listen to a podcast, or you're looking for things, you're looking for inspiration out there. You're trying to learn about life. Someone suggested go spend time with people that are at the end of their life And you said, okay, sounds cool. I think that could do something for me. So you go out there and you end up spending all this energy and effort to take care of someone else. So not only was this good for the old men in the wheelchairs and in this facility, this is good for the people who have the cars. You got 20 or 30 people. Now they're invested in sacrificing time, and they probably loved it because they like to show off their, their hot rod, Ford, whatever. And they get to come there and maybe meet with some of their friends and people that they know. The people in the facility, the staff members kind of get a little break maybe because you're out there kind of handling them for a while. Now that's turned into something else. Oh, I remember when we announced your Man of the Year award, someone on the Facebook group said he works with you out there.
Yeah,
Nathan something. I think Nathan.
Man, I'm going to feel like a jerk. I think it is Nathan J. It starts with a J. Forgive me.
Jacobson or something like that, or
I believe so. Jackson, I don't know. Sorry, man. No, he was super cool. He reached out to me and asked if there's any way he could help. And so he came out and he helped me with, he was actually super cool because I was running all over the place and, talking to people and like trying to park people and then trying to get people outside. And, I was all over the place talking with the director and yada, yada. And he was really, it was super cool to watch because he would go and like someone in a wheelchair, he'd go grab your wheelchair and, okay, what kind of cars out here do you remember? What do you like to see? What do you want to go check out? Whatever. He wheels somebody around, chat with them, take pictures with them for them, yada yada, and then bring them back inside and grab somebody else. And it was super cool to see that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. That's just even before this year, it sounds like you were the type of man who's just, really worthy of recognition. You're always just taking care of people, really putting yourself maybe last. I mean, I know it's you're okay to take a week off work and go out of state with the family and, do some fun things that you enjoy and you don't mind, spend a little money on yourself, have a good time and kind of entertain your wife and get out there and enjoy life. But so much of your time is focused on other people. I'm just convinced that like selflessness and service, that is what's missing in a lot of men's lives. We're so self-absorbed. We can think ourselves a victim. We can think, poor me. Look at all this stuff that's happening. Look at what the government's doing. Look at the taxes I have to pay. Look at all this garbage that's going on. Look at all this political shit. Look at, how my HOA is treating me. Look at how my wife isn't coming through for me. Look at all these things. We've not talked about any of that. We're talking about you making decisions, taking action, removing obstacles, doing work, making incremental improvements. You went from car show to now a recurring men's group at a place where the men are dying. We're all headed that way anyway.
Right.
My man, you've got you're 34. Let's say you've got 60 years left. What else you want to do, man? What other kinds of things do you want in your future? And we'll wrap this up here.
I don't know. I think I just kind of want to continue on the path I'm on and kind of see where it takes me. I guess I don't want to get too wrapped up in the could be's and maybes and the future. And I really just want to focus on now,
That's great. I'm that kind of person that I can get too carried away with some ideal or some, fantasy thing that I want to do or accomplish and not live enough in the here and now and in the present. And you've just shown that you have this incredible character. I know you're not perfect. I know there are things that you probably wouldn't want people to know about in your life, things that might be embarrassing, things you're working on, things you're always trying to improve, but damn, you're doing good in the world. People that know you the best, they love you to death because you're just a good man. We talk about, an alpha, no one really is an identified alpha. You do alpha shit, you know. When you're arranging a big party for old men, that's some alpha shit, you know. When you're putting together a nonprofit and organizing an organization here for veterans and people that need healing, and you're taking people that have never fished much out onto the water, helping them have an experience. You know, when you're dressing up in a unicorn costume with your daughters, when you are slacklining or highlining, when you're, you know, enjoying music at a festival, you've done wild and crazy things too. Those are just alpha moments that you're just accumulating, and you're just taking advantage of opportunities. We talk about attitude, actions, and attributes. And I think the attributes kind of come as a result of your attitude and your actions. And what I've seen from you, man, I've known you for a few years now. What I've seen from that is just that it's just stellar in every way. I've been inspired by you. I've learned from you. You're creating little ripples out there that are just never ending. It's just never going to end. You're putting pieces together that strengthen other people's lives. And I'm just very, very proud to know you. It makes me want to be better. You're like way younger than me, way better looking. It's inspiring. It's inspiring to know somebody who's getting after it, but you're not even really all about, you're not showing off. This is just you understanding the thing about being, that we're all the same, that we're carrying something inside us all that's from the same place. It's from the same material. It's the same substance exists in all of us. And that's why you can help the old retired man. That's why you can, you know, sacrifice some of your time and just give so much. So in just a small, silly token of appreciation, we've got a little bit of swag here for you, a t-shirt, a hat. We've got this awesome, little trophy sort of award. I want to pull it out of this and show you to it. It's kind of fragile. I dropped when Taco Mike won this. I dropped it and it cracks easy. So you just got to be careful with it. Put it up somewhere safe. But Man of the Year 2022, David Scofield. That thing is, I love the look of that. It just kind of,
it's awesome.
It's this black, I'll put a picture of it up. Just this little black kind of plaque thing that has got his name engraved in there. And some of the Alpha Corm imagery, and then this hat. This is one of my favorite new designs here. It's No Excuses, Alpha Up.
Hell yeah!
And even if it's upside down, it's the same thing.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So if you ever get flipped over in your ATV out there, everybody will know what you represent. Dude, David Scofield, man, appreciate it, Sco. You're just a hell of a man, somebody that inspires me. I really appreciate you coming down after a long week. A long drive yesterday, helping a friend out earlier, getting here right on time, just reliable as always. And I feel like my life is better because I'm associated with you. So I really appreciate you, dude. I
appreciate it. And honestly, the same goes for you, goes for a lot of this group. But yeah, I've learned a lot from you. And I don't know. That's I wouldn't be where I'm at, honestly, without you, Mike, and a lot of the other guys in this group. And I do want to recognize that most of the guys in our group probably deserve this. I don't feel like I deserve this award or this recognition or whatever more than anybody else. I think that a lot of people deserve it equally. I'm proud of a lot of people out there, and I don't know, and grateful for the example that everybody else has set. So
I forgot to mention before that Sco also had a podcast before, and that was kind of inspirational to me to meet him. And we talked early on, years ago, 3-4 years ago it was, about some of the little tips and things. And we talked about sound quality and a lot of things that he had worked out that I hadn't. And I believe that we're going to have you on here a whole lot more And I wish you didn't live on the other side of the planet from me down here in Henderson, but I'm looking forward to just continuing to learn from you, man, and just see how, we can help each other and help other men. So I really appreciate it. You guys, when you have an opportunity to show some love, when you have an opportunity to give and to serve and to be engaged and have a good attitude, take advantage of it. People are going to notice. You're going to have an opportunity to create never-ending cycles of good, because you can influence your own children, you can influence your wife, be influenced by her, people you work with, people around you. So follow the example of David Scofield and have no excuses. Alpha up.
Gentlemen, you are the Alpha, and this is the Alpha Quorum.